Look at all of the incredible farcical crisis and crisis creation that has happened since 2001, kicking of the century of change. And the hardest thing, if you go through this century of change, will be to hold on to your sanity. Your sanity. Constantly compare how it was before that to how things have changed since then. And you must always listen to the reasons are given, which none of them really are credible at all. It's good enough for the broad majority of the public. They cannot imagine anyone conning them on such a scale, the big lie. They can understand the small politician or any politician getting himself to the honey pot and filling his pockets. The small lie. But they cannot understand the big lie. No one would do that. No one would possibly trying to get away with that. And that's why it works. It's so simple in this methodology. But, you know, Karl Marx talked about the three main trading blocks of the world that would come together eventually under a super-world government. They would all have a form of a parliament, like a supreme parliament for each bloc. And each supreme parliament would be under a United Nations type of parliament. And we lived through so much of this. You see, the EU is a forerunner for the Americas, the American Union, same thing. In fact, it was Marx who said, the second one would be a United Americas. This is being done through various meetings under different names, such as the Summit of the Americas, and through other institutions in the Americas. Now the new EU is a form of a super-Soviet. It truly is a super-Soviet, made up of different countries under a supreme command. Literally, if a small country would try to pull out of it, in came the tanks. That's what it is all about. And big money holders, big organizations and foundations have worked tirelessly for well over 100 years to make this happen. And nothing is going to stop them. Nothing will stop them. No pleading. No petition is going to stop them. No vote is going to stop them. They just come back and back and back. On the one hand, the big problems in life are too big for us to imagine and to even think about, comprehend. And on the other side, we are filled with trivia and other distractions and little mini crises in our own lives. Or we are also kept in a state of fear, basically. In our own personal life, I am going to lose this job. I am going to lose this or that. In studies having to do with people complying obedience, fear was essential. An essential ingredient to the training of people to be obedient, fear. So a constant state of fear is being used through farcical pandemics. The World Health Organization keeps throwing massive statistics, but never tell you where folks die or what hospital they are in, just statistics. They call it the noble lie. Is for a noble cause that we are lying to you. That literally is what they are calling it at the top, a noble lie. On the one hand, the big problems in life are too big for everyone to imagine and to even think about, comprehend. And on the other side, we are filled with trivia and other distractions and little mini crises in our own lives. Or we are also kept in a state of fear, basically, in our own personal life. I am going to lose this job. I am going to lose this or that. In studies having to do with people complying obedience, fear was essential. An essential ingredient to the training of people to be obedient, fear. So a constant state of fear is being used through farcical pandemics. The World Health Organization keeps throwing massive statistics but never tell you where folks die or what hospital they are in, just statistics. They call it the noble lie. Is for a noble cause that we are lying to you. That literally is what they are calling it at the top, a noble lie. This new world order is nothing really new for the big boys in the inside. They have published books for a long time about the coming world order. Before World War I they were writing about it. Academia was writing about what kind of society they would bring in. The world we are living in is planned by an agenda. Of course, any critics to it is nullified by professionals. Their job is to maintain the appearance of dynamic changes in the societies as being the result of haphazard processes rather than planned. In fact, a professional debunker organization has just started up in Britain who had funding coming in to go after what they call conspiracy crazies, trying to get people to accept their accepted view of events as they unfold. The political correct view, in other words. So, there is nothing new in this war. The war has been going on since the day before we were born, before your parents or grandparents were born, long before all of them. A world where you must create total chaos to bring out a new world order. That means the destruction of all national values, cultural values, family values, and so on. Eradication of them all in order to rebuild a new society. A society that can never go back to those old values because they will be unable to bond with anybody else. Quite simple. If you create massive promiscuity, especially introduce it very young in school, then they know through experimentation, through private experimental schools like Bertrand Russell ran, that the likelihood of bonding later down in life is very slim, almost null altogether. And therefore there is no family. And that fits into a depopulation-controlled society. Just reminding people to use their heads and not to be run by fear. There is an old saying that if one cannot handle the truth, he shouldn't look for it, and it's very, very true, because the truth can be rather harsh, and if one allows himself to be afraid of it, then it will floor him or put himself into neurosis or a static state where he sits shivering underneath the kitchen table. That's not where we want to be. We don't let ourselves be sidetracked by people who just scare everyone and leave it at that. We are there to handle the truth. And if not, some SWAT team is driving up in a black government truck and getting ready to blast him out of the house, then he just shouldn't worry about it. We all have been living this long, and this new world order has been going on before we were born. It was happening before our parents were born. Every part, every stage is just a part for the next phase. All pre-planned, of course, including the takedown. But one needs to be able to handle the bad news and need not panic at the first headlines that come out there. That Obama could shut down the internet and then you hang out the white flags in front of your apartments because it's suddenly all over. You can't type to someone anymore. What a shame. I wonder what your predecessors would have been done. There is no plan B, C, D, or E. It's just astonishing how people become addicted to the internet and they cannot figure out any other way to communicate to each other if anything should happen. Astonishing.